Hello, and thank you for joining us again on Classic Vinyl Podcast. This is the podcast where we listen to and review songs and albums from the classic vinyl era of the 60s and 70s. And once again, we are on to our Meet The Beatles series. Today, we're on to Rubber Soul Side 2. We did Side 1 last week, if you didn't catch it. And I am one of your hosts, Justin, and I'm once again joined by my co-host, which I've told him many a times to think for himself because I won't be there for him, Tyler.
And I always answer with no.
Yeah, you always answer with no.
Yeah.
For some reason. You won't even fight.
No, you got to do the thinking for me, sir.
Well, we got to do it. Do you want to hop right into Side 2?
Jump into Side 2.
Side 2.
So Side 2 opens up with the obligatory Ringo Starr song on the album, What Goes On. So this is written by Lennon primarily, obviously credited to Lennon-McCartney. It was recorded on November 4th of 1965. Kind of an interesting song, interesting way to open up Side 2. What Goes On, it's basically a song about questioning a unfaithful partner, really, is what it's about. But you've got Lennon on his Casino on rhythm guitar. McCartney is on his Hofner bass on this one. Harrison is once again on his Fender Stratocaster. And Ringo Starr, of course, is on drums and lead vocals. Ringo always gets a song on each album, and this is his song this time. So this is really kind of interesting because although Lennon did write most of this song, it has been said that Lennon pretty much rewrote all the lyrics during the sessions for this song. So it would have been interesting to see how it was originally, but I assume this is your first time hearing this song?
Yes, this is.
So what do you think about Ringo, What Goes On?
So we've heard Ringo sing in a country style or fashion before, and this song's a very country sounding song. So I'm surprised to hear that it was written by Lennon, and I'm even more intrigued. I want to know, is it that Lennon really liked hearing Ringo sing country style, or did Ringo really like singing country songs, and so Lennon made this one a country song for him to sing? I don't know.
Well, Ringo has always loved country. I mean, he's released some country albums. Most recently, in the last couple of years, he released a country album. But I think more than anything, the style and the chord progressions and everything really play well to his voice style.
It really does. And, you know, I wrote down here that he has a really good voice for country music. That might be kind of like saying that someone has a face for radio. So I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
Well, it's funny because obviously Ringo is, well, I think in my opinion or anybody's opinion, he's the weakest singer of the four Beatles, which that's still a compliment, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I've noticed on his newer stuff, you know, as Paul McCartney's voice, as it does when you get into your 80s, is starting to degrade, and you can tell he's an older man. Ringo still pretty much sounds the same, which is kind of interesting.
It is. And, well, then again, how much singing has Ringo's voice done over his 80 years compared to Paul McCartney's over his 80? That's a lot of vibrations on those vocal cords.
Yeah, good point.
I don't know. This song, it wasn't my favorite. It was kind of my least favorite, really, just because I didn't really have anything that stuck out to me beyond the fact that Ringo has a good voice for country music. So what are your thoughts about this one?
Yeah, I absolutely adore Ringo Starr, and the Beatles wouldn't be the Beatles without him. But most of the time, his contributions on the album are the weakest song, in my opinion. And it just is what it is. You know, there are a couple exceptions. There really are. But the song's got a good guitar open. It's got good bass in it. It's got good little guitar licks in it that I really like. They're kind of choppy in the verses and choruses. And that's probably what I like the best about it, is those little choppy things. But it's a good way to open. I think it's placed perfectly on the album, opening up Side 2, because, it's not a song you want to close this thing out with, and it's not one you really want to open the album with. So I think it's buried where it needs to be. Still, in my opinion, a good song, and I can't imagine Rubber Soul, the album, without it. So it's a good way to put it. So
That's fair.
That brings us on to the second song on Side 2, Girl. Now, this is a Lennon-McCartney song, primarily written by Lennon, of course, sang by Lennon. It's recorded on November 11th of 1965. One of the things this song's well known for, if you've heard it before, is you've got Lennon's audible inhaling breath, that you can hear during the song. And This song's kind of interesting because I think it's not necessarily about a certain girl. I think it's about a dream girl or longing for a certain girl. I think it's kind of an ironic song in that manner. I don't think it's really written autobiographical. I could be wrong, but you've got Lennon playing his J160E Gibson acoustic on here. McCartney is on his Hofner bass. Harrison is also playing the J160E on here, and Ringo's playing the brushes on his drums. And one neat thing, if you've heard this song, you've got McCartney and Harrison in the background singing the background vocals, and they're singing tit, tit, tit. And you can take that for what it is, but I think it was a joke between the two of them. But I don't know if that the girl they're talking about. I'm not really sure, but it's an interesting song. Is this one you have heard before?
Oh no, this one's my first time.
Yeah, and one other thing I was going to throw in, a lot of people think that, that audible inhaling of Lennon, they think that's an inhaling of a jazz cigarette.
Really?
A joint.
Okay.
Possibly, making that inhaling sound.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people have said that. I don't know whether he ever said yes. And sometimes when they ask him years later, it's easy to say, oh yeah, that's exactly what it was, and where it may or may not been. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Okay, so I got that completely wrong, or I went in a completely different direction, because this song, it is my first time listening to it, and I wasn't sure if that was just one person or if it was the whole band inhaling at the same time.
No, it's just Lennon.
Okay. Well, his inhale is that, and it sounds like taking a big drag on a jazz cigarette, or it also could sound, to me, it sounded like, oh, here's a guy that just fell and skinned his knee real bad, and he's just sitting there like, that really stings.
Yeah, the joint sounds more likely.
I think the joint is more likely, and if I was more of a druggie, then I'm sure I would go that direction. This just sounds like, to me, this song is a song about a guy that's getting worked over by a girl who's just not doing him right. So you say it's about a dream girl, but this is more like a nightmare girl. I mean, she's making fun of him in front of his friends. He's dating a dick. She's just a real dick to him throughout the whole thing.
Of course, you're only hearing his side of the story.
I am. I don't hear her side where she's like, yeah, this is hilarious. Well, and maybe she's, got this attitude that if he didn't want her treating him bad, that maybe he should be better looking like his other friends.
Good point.
So, I mean, that would be his fault. I'm going to have to dabble into the drug world to figure out some of this stuff, because that's totally rocking my world as you're telling me about this. That's a big drag on a joint, and I get it now.
Yeah, it's the way it sounds to me.
Totally. So I'm going to have to listen again, because once again, first time hearing it, I don't know what to think, and I'm trying to absorb all of it.
Well, and that's what we're trying to do, is introduce you to the Beatles, and hopefully you'll take Rubber Soul and listen to it over and over and over again like I do and fall in love with it.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts about this one, Justin?
Yeah, I love this song. I think that it's got one of the best Lennon vocals on it up to this point. It's got amazing harmonies. I said last week on Michelle that it had an amazing song track that they'd play before the Cirque du Soleil Love Show. Mm-hmm. This one does as well. Girls, another one that they would play. And I really enjoyed that. It's got one of my favorite vocals in it. I love the vocal where he says, when she was younger that pain would lead to pleasure. That's kind of foreboding of the relationship. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just think that vocal, and through the whole thing, it kind of explains why this album is seen as a maturation process for this group, because everything they're doing has so much more depth in it than it did before. And it, not just the lyrics, most definitely lyrics, but not just the lyrics, the music, the way it's recorded, it just sounds more grown up to me now. So yeah, a really good song. So that moves us on to the next song, I'm Looking Through You. This is another one that was written mainly by McCartney. This is sang by McCartney, obviously credited to Lennon McCartney. This is recorded October 24th and November 6th of 1965. You've got McCartney playing bass on this. He's on his Rickenbacker bass, and he plays his acoustic guitar. I'm not sure what acoustic guitar. I'm thinking the Texan, but I'm not really sure. Lennon is on his Casino on rhythm guitar, and you've got George Harrison once again on the Fender Strat on lead guitar and Ringo Starr on drums. Now, this song is another song about Paul McCartney's relationship with Jane Asher at the time. I mean, he was having problems. I think it's pretty easy to tell what this song is about.
Mm-hmm.
This song has serious folk rock influence in it as well, but it's kind of a different song. Definitely influenced by the Byrds. This whole album is, let's be honest, the Byrds, even though they were popular, didn't hit the level of success of the Beatles, but the Beatles took a lot of that stuff and brought it in. Byrds and the Bob Dylan and Motown and all those things they meshed in and then did their own thing, and that's what makes them special in my opinion. But is this a song you heard before?
No, this is another first time for me.
That's very surprising to me. But what did you think about I'm Looking Through You?
So this song, it's interesting to hear this kind of song, because this is when we talk about a more grown-up version of love song, or a more intricate and a different depth and dimension to this love. This is a song that's all about that he's with this girl who's is she not being honest with him, or is she openly trying to lie to him to deceive him? But it doesn't really matter, because it seems like he knows her so well that he sees right through her. And he knows exactly that he might not even know what exactly is up with her, but he knows that something is up with her, because he knows
Once
her so
again, we're only hearing one side of the story.
Yeah.
And we know McCartney was a well-known wanderer, is the way to put it. And so that could have strained the relationship a little bit as well. And the funny thing about Jane Asher is, even up to this day, she will not do interviews. She won't talk about anything that went on with McCartney or Beatles in the 60s. And she was there for the bulk, at least from the time the Beatles basically hit it popular up until about 67. She was there. So kind of strange that she won't talk about it.
What did he do to her?
I'm not sure.
I don't know, but he sees right through her because he knows her so well. There's this interlude in there that's got this cool fuzz effect on the guitar that's, it really popular in the 60s. And I heard a bunch of that in Byrds songs. So I'm seeing a lot of the influence of the Byrds.
Yeah, you get the Byrds, and it's got the folk rock, and it's got country influence to it, but then it's, I guess, Beatlized is really the only way to put it. And that's what every artist does, right? They pull all their influences and mesh them together, but make everything their own. And
this song I don't put on my favorites list on this album, but it's a good song. It's well done, and I don't have anything negative to say about it, so I'm feeling good about it. What are your thoughts about I'm Looking Through You?
Yeah, I love I'm Looking Through You. I love the guitar intro on it. I love the guitar throughout. I think it's one of the better McCartney vocals on this album. I don't really have anything specific other than just the feeling the song gives me, and I like the sounds of it and how different it is and how it meshes folk rock and country and rock. I don't know, just the way it does it. It's just the music I wouldn't normally like. When the Beatles do it, it does something different for me. And this song's a perfect example. So that moves us on to the next song, In My Life. And this is a song primarily written by John Lennon. Of course, it is sang by John Lennon. It was recorded on October 18th and October 22nd of 1965. This song, it's pretty easy to figure out what it's about. It's reflecting on life, about the people you knew, the places you've been, and being kind of melancholy in that way, but also looking back at how great it's been and how you shared all this amazing stuff with people, and it means a lot to you. And people have considered this John Lennon's first real major piece of musical art. And I think that's because he's got so much personal in it. It's not just something that you could generalize, I want to hold your hand or any of that. This is, it gets really personal. The song is. It's not, I don't think you have to think too hard to who it's about. I mean, he's singing about his experiences in his life. So you've got John Lennon on his Casino rhythm guitar. You've got Paul McCartney on his Hofner bass. You've got George Harrison on lead guitar, and it's disputed whether he played a Fender on this one or his Casino, so we're not sure. You've got George Martin playing the piano on this, and the piano solo in it's really pretty cool, but I guess they recorded that solo at half speed. He recorded it really slow, and then they sped it up on tape.
Really?
To make it match up. So kind of interesting there. But there is controversy between Lennon and McCartney. They've disagreed of who wrote the melody to the song. McCartney says he did. Lennon always said he did. It doesn't really matter. It exists. So who really cares? A lot of people have considered this Lennon's best song ever. I can see this. I know this is my mother's favorite song. She's even got the lyric tattooed on her arm.
Okay.
So she really likes this. And I think what makes this song special is it's the first time, as we said, this album's growing up, but this is when you're reflecting on your own life. What, 24-year-old kid just looking back and saying, oh, it's been a lot of places I remember, and this is amazing. But I assume you've heard this song before.
Yeah, I have, and it's beautiful.
So what are your thoughts on it?
So this song is such a mixture of different sounds, and I love it. I love how they all are so different from each other, all these different sounding noises coming together, and yet it all meshes so well into a perfect song. This is my favorite on the album, and it's woven together like a tapestry of so many different contrasting colors, and all of them shine brightly and beautifully together. This gives the vibes of a singer that's singing about a past love that he's looking back on with fondness. And everything is so sweet. The guitar is so sweet sounding, and all of the instruments are played very tenderly, but so masterful. And it's a beautiful masterpiece. I love this song. What are your thoughts about In My Life, Justin?
Yeah, I love this song. I would say, if anything, it's one of my favorite songs on the album, but it's also probably the number one song I hear the most. And that's because it's made its way to commercials and movies and all kinds of things. And
it's everywhere.
So it kind of fits into that thing of, I think the song's so special. I don't want to hear it all the time, if that makes sense. I think people that listen to a lot of music understand that. It's got an amazing Lennon vocal. I think the thing that's most special about this song is the lyrical content and what it's about, the reflection and things like that. It perfectly shows him growing up as a songwriter, the band growing up as songwriters, whatever. I think the piano in it does an amazing justice. It's just a beautiful song. It's funny because I can't point out one thing that's amazing on this, because it's not a masterpiece of music. It's the lyrical content that makes this song so special, in my opinion. So that moves us on to the next song, Wait. This was another Lennon and McCartney composition. It was originally recorded on June 17th of 1965. And this one was recorded quite a bit earlier, because this one actually was originally recorded during the Help sessions. And I don't know if it was intended for that album or not, but it was left over, and I guess they needed another song, so it got added to Rubber Soul when it was needed. So the funny thing is this song doesn't really fit.
No.
This song fits earlier stuff because this is about a love returning home. This isn't as introspective or anything like that. You've got Lennon playing his Casino on this, a rhythm guitar. McCartney's playing his Hofner bass. George Harrison is playing lead guitar. I'm not sure what guitar he's playing. Of course, Ringo's on drums. It really is debated whether this was intended for Help or if it just wasn't good enough for Help and they needed one more song for Rubber Soul. It fits to me because I'm used to hearing it, but it's the lyrical content that doesn't fit. So it wasn't really on the same plane as the other ones, but maybe that's what makes it fit. I don't know. I assume this is a song that you haven't heard before.
Yeah, this is my first time.
So what do you think of Wait?
It doesn't sound like the other songs on the album. It lacks that sense of maturity and sophistication that we've seen in the other songs. That's just lyric-wise. What I'm saying is that there's that distortion on the guitar that makes it almost sound like an accordion. It's so cool. That's the effect that I heard on this song that I think is so noteworthy. Is you gotta listen to the song and listen for the guitar and how it sounds. It sounds kind of like an accordion, the way that they're strumming it or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's actually a volume pedal, which I may go back to one of the previous episodes where you hated the volume pedal that George Harrison used. So you actually enjoy it here.
Yeah, so this one, and maybe it's the speed at which he's going, because like the volume pedal that he was using before, it was such a stark, like, it was real harsh on the ears, like really grating to the ears. But this one, it was sped up and it was toned down, so it wasn't so loud in your ears. But it just like, but it came across almost like an accordion, and it was so cool to hear it. Now I want to hear both of those songs next to each other. I never thought I'd want to hear that other one ever again. Thanks, Justin.
Sorry.
That's all right. It wasn't bad. First time, I really enjoyed this song, but I do want to delve into it more going forward. What are your thoughts about Wait?
I mean, although it doesn't seem like it fits when you read about it and stuff, it fits perfect because that's the only way I know it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got maracas and tambourine in it, which add nicely to it. It's once again following the whole theme of this album is great harmonies, and I love the vocal. Especially when it gets to the I feel as though kind of the middle eight. I like the vocal there with the guitar. It's a good song. It would have been interesting to see it on Help. It almost seems too grown up for Help, but not grown up enough for this album, which is kind of strange. But and a lot of that is just created because we know where it came from and we know where it belongs because this is where it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really enjoy Wait. I think it's a good song and a good vocal and everything. So really good song. So it brings us to the next song, If I Needed Someone. This is the second Harrison song on the album, written and sang by George Harrison. It was recorded on October 16th of 1965. Now, this is a song George Harrison has said was straight inspired by Roger McGuinn of the Byrds. Mm-hmm. And you can hear that because you've got Harrison picking up his Rickenbacker 360 12-string guitar, which the Byrds were well known for. Lennon's on his Casino on rhythm. Paul McCartney is on his Rickenbacker bass and Ringo Starr on drums. If I Needed Someone is another love song, but it's kind of interesting because it was written for his future wife, Pattie Boyd, and Eric Clapton's future wife as well.
They shared. It's
really about his non-committal feelings, really. He's kind of aloof about love, but he's happy about it at the same time. It's kind of a distant perspective on love in a way. I really don't know. This is a really interesting song, and I've always liked this song. The 12-string sounds perfect in it, and they take that Byrds influence and I think expound on it and make it fit a little bit different. I think you really see Harrison coming into his songwriting, especially on this album. And so for that, I think this is really good. This is one of Harrison's strongest songs, especially up to this point. This is your first time hearing this one, I know.
Yeah, first time, but it is another one that, for being the first time, it jumped up to my favorites.
What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so that 12-string Rickenbacker, you can totally get the Byrds influence from this because it sounds so much like Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds. It's so awesome. It got this great effect. It's such a powerful sounding song because of that 12-string guitar. Lyric-wise, I get that this was a love song about a girl, but this song came across as the kind of love that is like between friends because of that dependability that I feel like I can always count on you, and I hope that you feel like that when the time comes, you can count on me as well in turn. That's what it was saying.
And I saw it more as a cynical or aloof look on love. Like, I do love you, but, if you need someone to love, I'm the one you've been, almost like, yeah, I'm in love, but I guess if I have to be, because that's the way the world works or something. I don't know. It just seemed distant to me.
I need to hear this one more because, I love the sound of it, so I'm obviously going to listen to this one more. But for being usually into the lyrics on this album, I've been so taken away from the lyrics by the instruments. The instruments are blowing me away, and I'm not even paying attention to what they're saying.
Well, and that's one thing that we haven't expounded on enough on this album is this album, sonically speaking, and the way it sounded was a complete departure for every band at the time. Yeah, they had Byrds influences. Yeah, they had Bob Dylan influences. Yes, they had Motown influences. Yes, they had their own sound, and they brought it all together and just did something different. Yeah. And this was a big shock to everybody.
But it's so nice to see George Harrison come into his own a bit here and, start to make something that's, I don't want to say something that finally sounds good. It's because that's not what it is. He sounds good, but it's just he's starting to get some chops there.
Well, I think the Beatles were a very ego-driven band, and so to get your songs in between McCartney and Lennon was probably pretty tough.
Yeah, for sure. But Harrison wrote a favorite for me.
That's good.
So well done. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, excellent song. I think the two Harrison songs on this album are by far the strongest songs he's had up to this point. And I think the lyrical content of them is the strongest as well. They're introspective on things, and they're They're not straightforward. In respect of this song, I think the 12-string Rickenbacker guitar is the strongest thing and what gives this song its sound. But yes, very excellent song, and I really do enjoy it. So that moves us on to the closer of the album, Run for Your Life. Now, this is a song written mainly by John Lennon and sang by John Lennon. And I don't know if our PR people really like this one nowadays, because I know there's a lot of complaints about this, but
this song is a death threat.
It's a death threat. Yeah, I mean, this song was recorded on October 12th of 1965, and apparently Lennon has said that this was inspired by a lyric from Elvis Presley's Baby Let's Play House. Now, Lennon kind of sounded like he wanted to bury the body out back of the house, but this song really is about intense jealousy, possessiveness, threats in this, and it's not shrouded. A lot of people think this song should be censored now, which I disagree with, because it fits perfect. I know this song. I've known it forever, as everybody else does. It is what it is. And I think it reflects kind of the pompousness of the time of everyone. And I don't think we should forget that stuff. That's my opinion.
Probably right. That being said, I'm really curious about, I don't know what to think about this song, because it came across, this was my first time hearing it, and it was my least favorite because of the lyrics. But apart from the lyrics, the instruments are awesome. And if it's just an instrumental, then it's one of my favorites.
Well, and the lyrics don't have to be that special. I mean, we don't have to. I mean, lyrics are so driven. I mean, these are pretty straightforward. Number one, on the instruments, you got Lennon on his Casino playing rhythm. Paul McCartney's on his Rickenbacker playing bass. Harrison is either on his Casino or his Fender Stratocaster. I think it's a Strat on this one, and Ringo on drums. Now, Lennon has stated, for what it's worth, later in his life that he disliked this song, and especially the lyric. But I think you have to put yourself in the time. Nobody ever brought it up as being, oh my, hell, that's a threatening song to women or whatever. That didn't get brought up till the 80s.
No, in fact, this is a time period where people looked at this as, oh, what a sweet thing to say to your girl, that you care about her so much that you would rather see her dead than on the arm of another man.
Well, yeah, and so when Lennon stated he disliked the lyrics, he wasn't under the threat of cancellation at the time. This was in the late 70s when he said, I don't like those lyrics. They just don't work. I think he thought they were too simpleton, you know.
And that's probably exactly what it is.
But even in the late 70s when he said that, it's not like anybody thought this was off kilter. People didn't even start talking about this song being a problem until 10, 15 years ago. Exactly. I don't think it's a problem because it is what it is. And
I don't think it's a problem because I live in a 1950s marriage. So
now, how is that?
My wife has dinner ready for me on the table at 6 o'clock when I come through the door. And
yeah, but she also has a job, so.
Yeah. And so if she doesn't do all of that, then, she'll feel the back of my hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. So what are your thoughts on Run for Your Life?
Okay, so Run for Your Life, like I said, this song, the good things about this is the instruments on it, especially the guitar. There is a guitar solo in there that's just awesome. It's worth listening to this song just for that guitar solo. The lyrics themselves, they're supposed to be that whole, oh, I love you so much that, I couldn't stand the idea of you being with another person, running off with another man.
The one thing he does confess in here in the lyrics is, that I'm a wicked guy and I was born with a jealous mind.
True.
I mean, he's taking the blame.
So she likes bad boys.
She likes bad boys. Yes. So it is her fault.
This is a cautionary tale. Don't date bad boys.
Yeah, because he's plain telling you that he's a wicked guy.
Yeah.
And he was born with a jealous mind, and you can't spend my whole life trying to make you toe the line.
Exactly. There is a message to that that's like, okay, but I can change him, sort of thing. I'm going to delve way too much into the psychiatry of this. I don't want to. And I think it does sound really simpleton and low brow for the kind of work that I see from Lennon.
But is it honest? Because how many of us think that way when we've been in that situation?
That's a good point.
That's the thing that bothers me is when people say things that other people think. Just because you think, I'd rather see you dead, little girl, than to be with another man, it doesn't mean I'm going to murder you. But that's what that's what people think. People have those wicked thoughts. They do. And if you say you don't, you're a liar.
Well, and this could be autobiographical from Lennon. Maybe he's just being his like raw, honest self. And I mean, he was a scrappy guy.
Well, and he was known to hit women.
Yeah.
He himself admitted that in his early years he hit women and he was sorry for it. And I don't think he was really too different from a lot of people that were going on. It was a different world. And that doesn't condone it in any way because he didn't condone it and he was sorry for it. But it is what it is, and you can't change certain things, you know? And some of that's whitewashed over history. And I know a lot of people hold that against Lennon, but I think if they knew a lot about their favorite movie stars and actors and all those things that are around, they would probably not want to have anything to do with them. I think the one thing that Lennon, to me, he admitted later without any kind of coercion that, yes, I wasn't a good person to a lot of the women, and I feel sorry for it to this day. And so, to me, that's better than what it could have been.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at least he recognized it, because how many people have gone through their entire lives never recognizing the harm that they've done or their own guilt, their own flaws. So this song, I wanted to say, wow, they really ended this album on a bummer. Now talking through it, I'm changing my mind on that. I think that they've ended this with a controversial song that's going to get you thinking and talking and discussing these things. Now I want to hear it some more, even though I thought I wouldn't, other than the instruments. Do you have any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think it's got a really good guitar intro. I think the bass in it is once again strong. This is the strongest album for guitar, bass, vocals. This is the strongest album by this group up until this point. Got a good guitar solo on it, and he's just singing about his intense jealousy and his possessiveness, and he admits that he's the wicked guy in this thing. So I think he's kind of telling a cautionary tale of, you shouldn't have loved me because I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good excuse, but it is what it is. So,
but it takes a lot of guts to put that out there, the criticism of the whole world.
Yeah. And I think we just need to look at the world and what it was like at the time. But that ends out Rubber Soul, side 2, and the whole album. Do you want to get to winners and losers?
Yeah, let's discuss them.
Winners and losers.
Okay, Tyler, you first. Why don't you give me your 2 or 3 losers on this album?
Okay, so I don't want to say Run for Your Life, but then again, I've got it written down in my notes before doing the whole thing.
Yeah, before discussing it.
I'm going to pick out the first song on the album and the last song on the album. How's that?
Okay.
Drive My Car. I've got a little bit of ear burn on that one. I don't dig that one too much. And then the Run for Your Life. That one, I could see myself taking it off of the losers list. What are your losers, Justin?
Yeah,
if you have any.
This is Rubber Soul. This is an album that means a lot to me. When I started with the Beatles, I bought the Red and the Blue Greatest Hits, and then I bought the White Album and this album. Those were the first 2 albums I bought, and so I think I was 13, 14 maybe. And so this album, not only is it a turning point for the Beatles, this is definitely my favorite Beatles album, but I've got 5 favorite Beatles albums. So, and they change every day. And that's what I like about the Beatles, is because they have so many different sounds. If I had to kick a song off this, it would be Ringo's What Goes On. But I can't because it fits perfect. But I couldn't name, I don't think it's a loser because it just fits. It's the Beatles. It's all 4 of them. And I would never skip that song. I love it. And it's just the Ringo song on the album. And it just exists. But what are your winners on this album?
Okay, so winners, there's a lot more. Norwegian Wood was a winner. You Won't See Me was a winner. And that was the first time, along with Nowhere Man. I love that song. Think for Yourself was another first-time favorite. The Word was a winner. My biggest winner on this album has to be In My Life. And I know that one's like all over the place and been played so many times. I do love that song. Maybe I'm just basic.
I can't disagree with you.
Yeah, for sure. That one is the winner on the album. What are your winners, Justin?
My winners, this is kind of interesting for me. My winners are Rubber Soul.
Mm-hmm.
I love this album.
Yeah.
This is, to me, even though I love the Beatles' early stuff, this album is really the album that established the Beatles as an artistic band, in my opinion, and kind of really set the stage for how albums were to be made together. This is the album that inspired Brian Wilson to go and do Pet Sounds. If that's the only thing it did, then my hell, and Pet Sounds and Sgt. Pepper's and that. I mean, this played a major role in introducing folk rock, introspective lyrics to the band and to the world and to mainstream music. Talk about the sitar on this, you know, kind of non-Western instruments.
Yeah.
I mean, it put those into it. It really shows the band going into the studio and what things they could do with the studio and using the studio as experimentation and using it to enhance the instruments and things like that. And I really think, and I read something that I noted here, that this is the album that's widely considered the bridge between the Beatles' early pop period and their later experimental masterpieces like Revolver and Sgt. Pepper's. I would think the bridge, one half of the bridge starts with Rubber Soul, the other half is the next studio album, Revolver. But I don't even know if I want to consider it a bridge, because calling it that would say that, oh, we're building to something. And to me, they've already built something here. It's just one. I would consider it a step or a rung in the ladder. And it's my favorite album from the band up to this point, without a doubt. And it's always going to be one of my favorite albums of theirs. So as far as winners, my long-winded response is the whole album's a winner. I love this album.
Yeah.
So you probably won't be too surprised at my rating.
Are we ready to rate it?
Yeah, let's rate it.
Album rating.
Okay, listener, if this is your first episode, I will briefly explain our rating system. It is a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the best. And I put this one at a 7. This is, there was a lot that I loved about this, and there was some things that, having discussed it, I'm going to have to listen to it more, because I don't think I would keep it at a 7. But my initial listening to this album, that's where I put it.
Well, and that's fair. I mean, you got to realize I've been listening to this album for 35 years.
And this is one of your first that you bought.
And I know everything about this album. I know every lyric on this album, every note on this album, and I listen to it still to this day frequently. So it's an album you need to listen to a lot, and you realize how it fits in the history. But obviously, I rate this album a solid 10 on a Beatles scale. So one of my very favorite albums of all time, one of my favorite Beatles albums. And I'm unapologetically a huge Beatles fan. And so I'll criticize where I think it needs to be criticized. But yeah, there's little things here and there, but it just doesn't work if it's not all together. And I absolutely love it.
You sound like a parent criticizing their child. Like, yeah, you know, there's some things that my child does that are imperfect and needs to, you know, be corrected. But they're perfect just the way they are.
Well, some of that imperfectness, if you want to call it that, is what makes it perfect.
It's art, right?
So it's art.
Yeah.
So great album, Rubber Soul. If you haven't heard it, then I suggest you listen to it multiple times, which I really implore you to do, Tyler.
I need to. I really feel that at the end of this episode.
But if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, want to let us know what you think we were wrong on, what we were right on. If you have any albums or songs you'd like us to rate, please send them to us at classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. And once again, I know I say it all the time, but it really does mean a ton to us. We do this as just kind of a passion project here in the basement studio. So if you're listening to us, it means a lot. So until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.